My husband placed the divorce papers on the table with a smile and said, "Accept my mistress or we end this." I signed without hesitation. He went pale. "No, wait, you misunderstood." My name is Linda. A week ago, if you had asked me to describe my life, I would have said stable, comfortable, maybe even predictable. I'm 48 years old. I live in a colonial-style home in the suburbs of Chicago with a wraparound porch I repainted myself over 3 summers. I have 2 sons, a perfectly organized pantry, and a husband named Mark. We had been married for 15 years. Or, rather, I had a husband. It was a Tuesday evening. Tuesdays used to be taco night, a tradition we started when Jason was a toddler. Lately, though, Tuesdays were just the nights Mark worked late, or said he did. I was at the kitchen island scrubbing a stubborn coffee stain from the granite countertop. The house was quiet. Jason was upstairs doing homework. Tyler was playing video games. The refrigerator hummed. My sponge moved back and forth in steady rhythm. Then the front door opened. Usually, Mark came home exhausted, loosening his tie, complaining of traffic on I-90, asking if dinner was ready. But this time, the energy was different. He walked in with confidence, almost swaggering. He was wearing his navy pinstripe suit, the one reserved for board meetings, and he smelled like expensive cologne mixed with a floral perfume that definitely wasn't mine. "Linda," he said. Not honey, not babe. Just Linda. He didn't kiss me. He went straight to the kitchen table, pulled out a chair, and sat down. Then he placed a thick manila envelope on the table with a deliberate thud. It sounded final. "Sit down," he said. It wasn't a suggestion. I dried my hands on a dish towel. My heart thudded heavily in my chest. "Dinner's in the oven, Mark. Pot roast, your favorite." "Forget the pot roast," he waved dismissively. "We need to talk about the future." I sat across from him. The envelope lay between us like something dangerous. Mark leaned back, fingers interlaced behind his head, a satisfied smile on his face. "Here's the situation," he began, his tone polished, almost rehearsed. "I've met someone. Her name is Tiffany. She's 28. She works in marketing. She makes me feel things I haven't felt in years. Passion, excitement, energy." The blood drained from my face. My hands felt cold. I waited for him to laugh, to say it was a joke. He didn't. "I know what you're thinking," he continued, not allowing me to respond. "You think this is the end, but it doesn't have to be. I'm practical, Linda. I know you depend on me. You haven't worked in 15 years. You like this house, your garden, the boys' private school." He leaned forward. "So here's the deal. The envelope contains divorce papers. They're a formality, to show I'm serious. I'm going to be with Tiffany. I'll spend weekends at her apartment. I'll stay here during the week for the boys. We remain legally married. You keep the house, the credit cards, the title of Mrs. Mark Reynolds. In return, you look the other way." He paused. "Accept my mistress, Linda, or we end it now. And if we end it, you won't manage on your own. You're nearly 50. The job market isn't waiting for a former accountant who hasn't touched a spreadsheet since the Bush administration." He smirked. He truly believed he had all the leverage. He thought I was trapped, decorative, replaceable. I looked at the envelope, then at him. "So my options are," I said steadily, "to share my husband with a woman half my age or get divorced?" "Exactly," he replied, glancing at his watch. "It's generous. Most men would leave you with nothing. I'm offering security." I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I didn't throw the pot roast, although I considered it. Instead, clarity settled over me. I saw him clearly, not as my husband, but an arrogant man who had underestimated me the last time. "Okay," I said softly. His smile widened. "I knew you'd be reasonable." I reached into the junk drawer and took out a black ballpoint pen. The click echoed in the quiet kitchen. I removed the papers from the envelope, flipped to the final page, and read the names:
Petitioner, Mark Reynolds. Respondent, Linda Reynolds. "What are you doing?" he asked, confusion flickering. "Making my choice." I signed large, steady cursive letters, Linda Reynolds. I dated it. Then I pushed the papers back to him. "I choose divorce," I said calmly. "I'm done." The smile vanished, his face drained of color. "No, Linda, wait. You misunderstood. I was negotiating." "You weren't negotiating," I replied, standing. "You were bullying, and you picked the wrong woman." Before I explain what happened next, how I made him leave and revealed what I knew, you need to understand how we got here. You need to understand who I used to be to see who I became. If you've ever been underestimated, comment "I hear you" below. I want to know I'm not speaking into empty space. Now, let's go back 3 months when the cracks first appeared. For 15 years, Mark was the star of our marriage, and I was the supporting role. He believed he built everything alone, but memory can be shaped by ego. 15 years ago, I wasn't just a housewife. I was a senior auditor at one of Chicago's top accounting firms. I was 29, ambitious, and earning nearly twice what Mark made as a junior sales representative. I drove a convertible. I had investments. I was on track to become partner by 35. I met Mark at a networking event. He was charming and full of vision, but broke. He had an idea for a logistics consulting firm, but no funding and little financial knowledge. When we married, he came to me with a proposal. The banks wouldn't finance him. He asked to use my savings. He asked to manage the books. He asked to leave my career and focus on home so he could build his company. It was a significant sacrifice. I resigned. I cashed out my 401k for the office lease. I used my inheritance to purchase servers and software. For 5 years, I was the unseen engine behind his success. I managed payroll while breastfeeding. I corrected tax errors that could have bankrupted us. I negotiated vendor contracts. I acted as CFO, HR, and operations manager without salary. One night, after landing his first major contract, he toasted me with champagne in coffee mugs. He said, "I couldn't have done this without you. You're my partner." I believed him. But as the company expanded, he hired new staff, an accounting firm, an HR director. Gradually, I was excluded. "You don't need to worry about numbers anymore," he told me. "Just enjoy the life I provide." The language shifted. We became I. 3 months ago, at an awards dinner where he received Entrepreneur of the Year, I overheard him at the bar telling younger businessmen that I lived in a bubble and would be lost without him. They laughed. I had set up the auto-pay systems. I had audited Fortune 500 companies before he learned Excel. That was the night resentment took root. After that, I noticed changes: expensive suits, an elite gym membership, a new cologne, a guarded phone. Then I found the earring, long, pink, feathered, cheap, not mine. He claimed it belonged to a friend's daughter. The friend had 3 sons. That's when sadness ended. Strategy began. At 1 a.m., I logged into his email using recovery answers I had set up years earlier. I searched financial records. There were restaurant reservations, concert tickets, a Napa Valley weekend during a business trip. Then I found the Visa Black Card with an authorized user, Tiffany Miller. Victoria's Secret, Sephora, Tiffany Company purchases on our anniversary. But the worst discovery was in the boys' college funds. Jason's account, nearly empty. Tyler's, drained. Over $100,000 gone. Wire transfers labeled security deposit, jewelry, and payments on Tyler's birthday, the same day Mark told him we couldn't afford a Disney trip. This wasn't just infidelity, it was theft from our children. I downloaded everything, backed it up 3 times, contacted a lawyer named Sarah, filed an emergency motion citing adultery and financial misconduct. Then I called Mark's mother, Martha. I hoped she would care about her grandsons. She didn't. She suggested I fix my hair, lose weight, and overlook a small indiscretion. Even the missing college funds didn't move her. That was the moment I accepted I was alone, and that realization was freeing. So, back at the kitchen table, when Mark panicked over my signature, I informed him the court had granted me temporary exclusive occupancy of the house due to his misuse of marital and custodial assets. His suitcases were already packed. He protested, he begged, he shifted from anger to charm. She meant nothing, he claimed. She meant enough for you to steal from your sons, I replied. I told him to leave. He did. After he drove away, I locked the door. My hands trembled, but I didn't cry.
Tyler looked up at me, tears running down his face. Is Dad leaving because we were bad? No, I said firmly, holding his shoulders so he would focus on me. No, Tyler, this is not your fault. This is entirely your father's responsibility. He made bad decisions. Did he steal my birthday money? Tyler asked quietly. His voice was so small it almost broke me. I froze. I had not told them that part. I had hoped to protect them from it. I heard you yelling, Tyler whispered. You said he bought a pendant with my birthday money. I looked at both my sons. I could not lie. Mark had already lied enough. Yes, sweetheart, I said, my voice tight but steady. He did take money from your savings accounts, but listen carefully. I promise you I will recover every single dollar. I will work day and night if I have to. I will fight this in court. You will go to college. You will have everything you need. I will fix this. Tyler pressed his face into my chest and began to cry. I hate him. Jason stood near the window where Mark's car had disappeared. His jaw was tight. He just texted me. What did he say? He said you're having a mental breakdown, that you're hysterical. He told us to pack a bag and come stay with him. And what do you think? I asked carefully. Jason met my eyes. I told him not to bother. I said he saw the pictures. I said he's a loser. I exhaled slowly. My son was not confused. He understood. Okay, I said, wiping my face. We're going to be fine. But tonight, I'm not cooking, and I definitely don't want pot roast. Pizza? Tyler asked, sniffing. 3 large pizzas, extra pepperoni, breadsticks, soda, even though it's a school night. That evening, we sat on the living room floor, eating from the boxes and watching Marvel movies. It was simple, but it felt like we were reclaiming our space. The house was quieter without Mark's voice and constant expectations, yet it felt lighter. The tension was gone. I looked at my boys and made a silent promise. Mark believed he could walk away without consequences. He believed he could take our money and our dignity. He was wrong. I had the house, I had my children, and I had proof. Phase 1 was complete, eviction. Phase 2 would be accountability. A week passed. The legal system moved slowly, but gossip traveled quickly. I did not need to spy on Tiffany's apartment. Mark had forgotten to remove me from our shared Uber Eats account. The receipts told the story. The first 2 days he tried to maintain appearances. Tuesday, sushi, $120. Wednesday, steakhouse delivery, $150. He was attempting to impress her, to show nothing had changed, but I had already frozen the joint checking account. His personal cards were near their limits. By Thursday, the tone shifted. Thursday, McDonald's, 2 Big Macs and a Happy Meal. Friday, Taco Bell, $15. Saturday, no order at all. Then I received a call from a mutual acquaintance, another Sarah, who worked in the same building as Tiffany. Linda, she whispered, clearly hiding somewhere private. Mark looks terrible. Go on, I said calmly. Tiffany's luxury apartment is a studio. The photos made it look bigger. It's tiny,
And Mark has been wearing the same 2 suits all week. They're wrinkled." "He probably slept in them," I replied. "And Tiffany is complaining loudly. She says he snores. She says he expects dinner ready when she gets home. She told the receptionist she didn't sign up to be a housewife." I laughed quietly. Mark had not cooked, cleaned, or handled laundry in 15 years. He expected order and service. Tiffany wanted lifestyle benefits, not domestic duties. "There was an argument in the parking lot, something about his car." "That would be the Mercedes," I said evenly. "The lease is in my name. I reported unauthorized use. The company likely repossessed it." "You're ruthless," she said. "I'm prepared," I corrected. That evening, Mark called repeatedly. Eventually, I answered on speaker so Jason could listen. "What do you want, Mark?" "Linda, please," he said. He sounded tired and strained. "I can't live like this. The apartment is tiny, the air conditioning is broken, and did you really have the car taken?" "It's my vehicle. The lease agreement is clear." "I have to take the bus. Do you understand how humiliating that is? I'm a VP." "For now," I said. "How is Tiffany?" "She's stressed. She says the place is too small. Can I come by to get more clothes? Maybe a proper meal?" I looked at Jason. He shook his head firmly. "No," I said. "You chose this life. Enjoy it." "I'm starving," he admitted quietly. "She doesn't cook." "Then learn," I said. "Goodbye, Mark." I ended the call. He was starting to understand that reality was different from fantasy, but the true consequences were still ahead. The next morning, I met with my attorney, Sarah. She had reviewed the documentation I gathered. "He's in serious trouble," she had told me earlier, "but expect resistance." Mark arrived late to the mediation session with an unimpressive attorney. He looked worn and anxious. His lawyer spoke first. "My client seeks a 50-50 division of marital assets, including the home. Additionally, he requests spousal support due to temporary housing instability." I nearly laughed. Sarah responded calmly. "Mr. Reynolds is employed as VP. Mrs. Reynolds has been a homemaker. On what basis would she owe support?" Mark finally spoke. "We know about the inheritance trust. I want half. It is a separate trust, but let's discuss the $100,000 missing from the children's accounts." She slid the spreadsheet across the table. Mark turned pale. "This is an invasion of privacy." "She accessed joint accounts and custodial accounts where she is a guardian," Sarah clarified. "In Illinois, dissipation of marital assets for an affair is taken seriously." Mark shifted tactics. "Let's talk custody," he said. "My mother says Linda has been unstable." "That is false," I said calmly. Then he delivered what he clearly believed was leverage. "Tiffany is pregnant." The room fell silent. "She's carrying my child," he continued. "The court will consider that. If you push this, you're taking resources from an innocent baby." I forced myself not to react. I looked at Sarah. "We will require proof," she said evenly. "Medical documentation and paternity confirmation. Until then, this claim has no legal weight." Mark left, clearly believing he had introduced a powerful complication. Driving home, I replayed the financial records in my mind. Something did not align. 3 weeks ago, there had been charges at a high-end sushi restaurant, wine bar purchases, pharmacy items that were not prenatal related. If Tiffany were pregnant, her behavior suggested otherwise. I began researching. Mark had blocked me. Tiffany's account was now private. I created a neutral Instagram profile and searched through tagged friends. I found a public story posted by one of her friends. There she was in a video, taking tequila shots at a girls' night. Pregnant women don't take tequila shots. The pregnancy claim was likely fabricated, designed to influence negotiations. But I continued digging. On LinkedIn, I found a recommendation for Tiffany from Robert Vance, CEO of Vance Logistics, a major competitor of Mark's firm. I searched further. On Facebook, a public cover photo showed Robert on a boat with a woman. The woman was Tiffany. I searched marriage announcements. There it was. Robert Vance married Tiffany Miller 3 years ago. She wasn't simply Mark's girlfriend. She was married to another man. Mark wasn't leaving his wife for a single woman. He was involved with another man's wife. The so-called luxury apartment appeared to be a secondary location. The pregnancy story was likely another manipulation tactic. I decided to confirm. I contacted Robert Vance's executive assistant, presenting myself as a forensic accountant addressing a sensitive discrepancy involving a mutual associate. He agreed to meet at a coffee shop. When we met, he was composed but clearly cautious. "I believe our spouses are involved," I said directly. He paused. "My wife is Tiffany Vance." "Yes," I replied. "She has been seeing my husband, Mark Reynolds. He claims she is pregnant." I provided printed screenshots and financial records. Robert reviewed them slowly. His expression changed from confusion to disbelief. "She told me that necklace was from her grandmother," he said quietly. "My husband purchased it 3 weeks ago," I replied, "using funds taken from my son's account." Robert closed his eyes briefly. "I travel frequently," he said. "She told me she needed a studio space for art projects." "It is not an art studio. It is where she meets Mark." He nodded slowly. "She told me she was pregnant," he added. "So she told both of you," I replied. The pattern was clear. Both households had been deceived. What had started as a personal betrayal had now been...
That's impossible. Why? Because Robert leaned forward, his expression firm and controlled. "I had a vasectomy 5 years ago," he said evenly, "before I met her. She knows that. If she's pregnant, it isn't mine. Honestly, I don't believe she's pregnant at all. I think she's manipulating the situation." "She's drinking tequila," I added. "I saw the video." Robert nodded once. He wasn't emotional. He was focused, calm and calculating, the same mindset I had been in for weeks. He reviewed the documents again. "Does Mark know she's married?" Robert asked. "I don't think so. He believes she's a successful marketing executive in love with him. He thinks he's rescuing her." "Rescuing her?" Robert replied dryly. "She spends $20,000 a month on my credit cards. She drives a Porsche I pay for. If she leaves me for him, she leaves with nothing. We have a prenuptial agreement. Infidelity cancels her spousal support." He looked directly at me. "Why are you telling me this, Linda? You could use it in court." "Because Mark is destroying my family," I said. "He humiliated my sons, and Tiffany helped him do it. I want accountability. I can't address her actions alone. She's your wife." "Not for long," Robert said. He handed me his business card. "Mark works for Logistics Prime, correct?" "Yes. They're hosting their annual picnic this Saturday at Lakeside Grounds." I nodded. "Mark asked me to attend. He wants to present the image of a stable family for a promotion. He believes a higher salary will give him leverage." Robert's expression sharpened. "You should go. Dress well. Tell him you're open to discussing a settlement." "And you?" I asked. "I'm a major shareholder in Logistics Prime. I know the CEO personally. I believe it's time I attend that picnic as well. I have business to address." We spent another hour reviewing details. This wasn't emotional retaliation. It was a structured plan. When we shook hands outside the cafe, I felt steady. I was no longer handling this alone. The next day, Mark called. I let it ring before answering. "Hello," I said quietly. "Linda," he began in a businesslike tone, "about mediation, maybe we can compromise." "The pregnancy is a lot to process," I said carefully. "If you're really expecting a child—" "I am," he said smoothly. "That's why I need this promotion. The senior VP role opens next month. My salary would double. That benefits you and the boys as well." "What do you need from me?" "The company picnic is Saturday. The CEO values family stability.
If you attend and support me publicly just one last time, I'll sign over the house and agree to your custody terms. I need this promotion to support the new baby." "You'll put that in writing?" I asked. "My lawyer will draft it Monday. Just come. Wear the blue dress I like. Smile. Stand beside me." "I'll attend. For the boys." "Good. I'll pick you up at 11. "I'll drive myself. I have errands beforehand." "Fine. And Linda, look presentable." I ended the call. Saturday arrived clear and bright. I did not wear the blue dress. Instead, I chose a tailored red sheath dress Mark once criticized as too bold. It fit precisely and projected confidence. I styled my hair neatly and applied red lipstick. When I came downstairs, Jason noticed. "You look serious, Mom," he said. "That's intentional," I replied. "You're staying at Grandma's today. I don't want you involved." "Why?" Tyler asked. "Because some matters are better handled by adults." I drove to the lakeside park with the windows down. A text from Robert appeared. "ETA 12:30. Stay steady." The Logistics Prime annual picnic was clearly structured for corporate morale. Checkered tablecloths, a DJ playing upbeat classics, families scattered across the lawn. Mark stood near the executive tent with Mr. Henderson, the CEO. When Mark saw me, he approached quickly. "You're wearing red?" I said. "I thought it was appropriate." "Just stay close," he muttered. "Mr. Henderson is watching." We greeted the CEO. Mr. Henderson was enthusiastic and direct. "Linda, good to see you. Mark's been outlining expansion plans. We're considering him for senior VP. Stability at home matters for that level." "Mark is certainly full of surprises," I said evenly. As we circulated, I noticed Tiffany across the lawn near a group of younger employees. She wore a white sundress and held a glass of sangria. Mark avoided eye contact with her. I also saw Martha seated under a tree. "That dress is excessive for a barbecue," she commented. "I prefer to stand out," I replied. "Is Tiffany enjoying herself?" "Keep your voice down," Martha whispered. I checked my watch. 12:25. "Mark," I said, "the speeches are starting. We should stand near the stage." We moved toward the gazebo, where Mr. Henderson began addressing the crowd. "We've had a strong year at Logistics Prime, record growth thanks to our leadership team." At that moment, several vehicles pulled into the parking area, a black Escalade, followed by another SUV and a police cruiser. Mark didn't notice. "I'd like to recognize someone who has shown significant drive." Robert Vance stepped out of the Escalade, accompanied by 2 attorneys and 2 uniformed officers. He walked steadily toward the stage. "Mark," I said quietly, stepping aside, "you should look." Mark turned and froze. Robert ascended the gazebo steps and took the microphone. "Apologies, Jim, but there is a serious matter involving one of your employees." The crowd fell silent. "I am referring to Mark Reynolds." Mark attempted to respond, but Robert continued. "My wife Tiffany Vance has been involved in an affair with Mr. Reynolds for 6 months. During that time, substantial funds were misused. In reviewing this situation, we uncovered financial irregularities affecting Logistics Prime." One of Robert's attorneys handed Mr. Henderson a file. "These documents show fraudulent invoices approved by Mr. Reynolds. Funds were redirected to a shell entity, TM Consulting, to finance personal expenses." Mr. Henderson reviewed the paperwork, his expression shifting quickly. "Mark," he demanded, "did you authorize these payments?" "It's a misunderstanding," Mark insisted. "A marketing arrangement." "My wife has no marketing expertise," Robert replied calmly. He then addressed the pregnancy claim. "I understand there have been statements about a child. 5 years ago, I had a confirmed vasectomy. Additionally, Tiffany has had an IUD in place. There is no pregnancy." The crowd reacted audibly. Tiffany attempted to explain. I needed support. Mark said he was wealthy. I stole from my children for you, Mark said to her. And from your employer, I added, stepping forward. The documentation matches transfers from our personal accounts and company funds. Mr. Henderson turned to security. Mark, you're terminated effective immediately. Officers, escort him out. Police moved forward. Mark protested, but he was led toward the parking area. Robert addressed Tiffany directly. The prenuptial agreement is activated. You will receive no support. The event ended abruptly. Employees stood in stunned silence as Mark was placed into a police car. Robert approached me afterwards. My legal team will coordinate with Logistics Prime. If Mark agrees to full restitution, we may avoid extended criminal proceedings. He has limited resources, I noted. He has retirement accounts and stock options, Robert replied. Those can be garnished. Tiffany sat on a curb nearby, attempting to make calls. Robert informed me he would file for annulment based on fraud. I returned home later that afternoon. The house felt different, quieter, settled. A message from Martha arrived, accusing me of public humiliation. I responded simply that Mark's actions caused the outcome, then blocked her number. Soon after, my attorney Sarah called. Mark's lawyer has withdrawn. Payment issues. Mark wants to settle. He's willing to concede custody, the house, and remaining assets in exchange for avoiding jail. Let him consider it overnight. That evening, I slept peacefully. Within days, news of the picnic circulated widely online. Jason mentioned a viral video circulating on TikTok. Is Dad going to prison? Tyler asked. He is facing consequences, I explained. He must repay what he took. Mark was released on bail after selling his watch. He appeared at the house, asking to return. We have a restraining order, I told him through the intercom. Please leave. He eventually did. A week later, he attempted to approach Jason at soccer practice. The coach intervened. Jason told him calmly to seek help before attempting contact again. That moment appeared to affect him deeply. Shortly afterwards, Mark agreed to all settlement terms: full asset transfer, repayment plan, supervised visitation. The boys